Good evening, I am Tomas Guevara, and this is the channel Rewriting the Reality. Subscribe to this channel now if you want to be better and create your reality efficiently. In today's episode number 164, I will explain what is your essential you. Ask yourself, how can you maintain your unique individuality but also be not entirely separate and interconnected and in that state of relationship? Let us generate that in very simple familiar terms. Let us examine what the essential you are. We will not incorporate the term essence, for all of you, or for the most part most of you, already separate that. We incorporate a different essence name or tone, and therefore that name designates essence as being different from us as a physical manifestation. Therefore, that already incorporates a significant separation. Let us incorporate an examination of us and what the essential you are. It is not your body consciousness, not in your assessment, not in your perception. Therefore, what is the essential you? Most individuals will define the essential you as being either your mind, which you do not entirely equate with your brain, and although you do attach aspects of it with your brain, you do view your mind as different from your physical brain, or your soul. More so the soul, for that you do not attach with any actual physical organ or physical manifestation. The soul, in your opinion, is the essential you and is the makeup of who you are and what you are. Although it somehow elusively resides within the physical manifestation of you as a body, it is not attached to it. In incorporating this idea of the genuine you, who you are, what you are, being that soul, how can that soul be unique, different, and its own self and be also not separated and completely entirely interconnected with all that is, or what I call the universal consciousness, they in every other capacity? Very simply, in a manner that you each can very easily understand, in the presentment of the concept of a soulmate. The concept of a soulmate, although it may incorporate many different forms and philosophies, the basic aspect of that is that there is some other expression, some other soul that is a part of you, that is so not separate from you, that is so much a part of you that it cannot be detached from you. Whether you can physically engage it or not, it remains a part of you, which also presents the motivation for many individuals to be genuinely seeking out their soulmate, that piece of themselves that cannot be cut away, that split apart that is so much a part of themselves that without it, the individual does not feel complete or whole. Now, as you are aware, these are philosophies, but there is a grain of actual realness in that. You have generated the reality of relationship, the being of relationship, that interconnectedness, that lack of separation into some form that you can easily identify and attach to in a physical sense, the soul and the soulmate. In this, what you are doing now is moving into, shifting into, that genuine identification of your genuine self, your genuine identity without the attachments. The soul does not incorporate attachments. Soul is merely another term for you, who, and what you genuinely are, and in that, the soulmate is all else, all that is, or the universal consciousness, which is all genuinely a part of you that is not separated. It is only separated by the attachments, and as I expressed, one of the greatest attachments, other than exchange, is independence. The genuineness of self is the knowing of interconnectedness. Not the idea of interconnectedness but the knowing of interconnectedness. This is what I have expressed from the onset of this channel, that a significant aspect of this shift was and is to move us into the state of being of remembrance. And I have expressed many times remembrance is not memory, it is a state of being. It is a knowingness. That knowingness is the genuine recognition that we are not separate. Although we generate an individual form that we identify as ourselves, although we incorporate an individual gender, and our individual form incorporates an individual name. That those aspects of you are not who you are and what you are. You are a physical manifestation, for example, a female individual in a physical reality, and your name can be an or masculine individual named Steve. But that is not who you are. You are so much more than what you identify. And your experiences are not the makeup of who you are and what you are. The genuineness of your identity is stripped of all your experiences, all the attachments that belong to your reality. Not that your attachments are not a part of you and being a part of your experience. They are. But your experience is not who you are and not what you are. What you are is an interconnected expression of consciousness. You are not separate. Let me give you a personal experience. Since I was in school, I started having my doubts about the existence of God. Then I started to accumulating a lot of evidence that contradict the Bible teachings. In 2001, for the first time, I meet my first granddaughter, and this opened my eyes to more genuine experiences about what I am really are. Starting with my divorce in September 2003, I started to understand that earthly possessions do not have a real meaning, and I decided to renounce to my house in favor of my ex-wife. Months later, when visiting my mother, with my ex-wife, and sitting in the dining room, I felt a kind of rapture, a sense of happiness that I started crying. That was the moment that I found myself and my interconnection with the universal consciousness. That was the moment that I finally understood that God doesn't exist. The remembrance and the knowingness of who I am. Since then, I knew that nothing can be harm to me or do harm to me, that everything is my choice. A lot of friends, because of fear of death, have been turned to religion. They explain that they found Jesus or God, but they don't have found who they are. And if you don't know who you are, you start devaluing yourself, you start predicating that you are nothing without Jesus or God. In other words, you give up your free will. You denied yourself your probabilities, and without probabilities you are nothing, because all choices are in the hand of Jesus or God. I am aware that you would be a part of the majority of individuals that believe in religions, and that you perhaps express that you experience an interconnectedness with your reality, with nature per se, or with other individuals, or with Jesus or God. But what you are feeling are only attachments. For the most part, I'm not discounting this experience because it is real to you. It is closer to what I am expressing, but even that is not the genuineness of that knowing of identity. You view the term relationship as a term that is an involvement of more than one thing. And as I have expressed in Shifting, we are redefining terms. This is one of the terms that is being redefined. And I will acknowledge it will be a difficult term to redefine. For this term of relationship and the remembrance and the knowing of who you are, in the genuineness of identity, is not involving more than one thing. It is the state of being of recognition and experience that all of the things, whether they be inanimate manifestations in your terms, or living manifestations, that they are not merely connected to you but that you are them. That you can move into a recognition, a genuineness and essence of yourself that incorporates that knowing, that when your physical eyes connect with another manifestation, that you know it is you. When your eyes see a mountain or a tree or another individual or a tiger or a dog, you know that your physical senses and your physical being is connecting with that manifestation, but you experience that knowing and genuineness that it is you. We are not separate. That is what creates the distinction between your genuine self and the attachments to your identity. And that is the shifting, The knowing that can allow you the genuine freedom to express actual intentional choices rather than generating choices that you do not even assess as being choices. They are merely expressions such I do not understand how it is even possible that I can view another individual or situation and not incorporate some capacity of diminishing in some form. But you can. But the manner in which you do that is first of all, actually generating that experience, that knowing of self, and therefore that knowing that any manifestation that appears outside of you is actually not outside of you. It is, and it is not. It is in a physical sense. It is not in the essence of you. If you are not creating that other separation with that term essence, I am me and I also incorporate an essence which is me as essence, which is another separation. But when you can move away from associating the essence of you as being some separate entity from you, but as what you are, who you are, that allows you to move within your reality, within the blueprint of your reality, within in all of the belief systems and all of the beliefs and all of the associations and all of the choices and all of the expressions and the opinions and the preferences, the likes, the dislikes. But the recognition that those are all actually genuine choices. They are, in a manner of speaking, play objects. They are objects to play with. No different than toys to a child. In this, let me express to you. Other than your physical body, if you were to genuinely attempt to define who you are, what generates you as being you, most likely your most immediate assessment would be that aspect of you that you term to be your mind. That is the part of you that you define as the engine of your manifestation. It dictates, it instructs, it defines all of the functions and movements of your manifestation, and I would say that most individuals do incorporate distinction in their definition of their mind as being different from their brain. Most individuals equate their mind as almost synonymous with their spirit, which would be what you would most closely identify as the essence of you. The essential you would be your mind. In a very similar manner, it is a matter of transforming this idea of essence as being some other manifestation of you from that to being the essential you, the essence of you. What it is that is you. That is unique. That is different from every other individual, every other manifestation in this reality or any other reality. You are uniquely you, and you do incorporate a type of sense of that. You do incorporate a type of recognition of that. You do know that you are uniquely different from any other individual. There is no other you, and you know that. You do incorporate a type of recognition that whatever that essential element is that is the makeup of you, is not necessarily what you do. And it is not necessarily what those attachments are. That there is some aspect of you that is beyond that. And you know that. You merely have not entirely defined it yet. For what is familiar to us and what we are accustomed to is compartmentalizing. And the manner in which we compartmentalize is we think in terms of things. But if you are genuine to yourself, you cannot actually define your mind as a thing, unless you equate it with your brain, which generally speaking, most individuals do not. They vaguely associate that it incorporates some type of connection to their brain, but not entirely. There is some aspect of you that is beyond your brain, whether you term it to be your soul, your spirit, your mind, or what I call our essence. We all incorporate this knowing that there is an essential you. Term it to be your soul. Can you define your soul as a thing? You cannot see it. You cannot touch it. You cannot generate contact with it with any of your physical senses. And even our inner senses are not actually adequate in connecting with that essential aspect of ourself that we would term to be our soul. That is the elusive aspect of ourselves. But it is very real, and it is very present. And regardless of what word we attach to it, we all incorporate in knowing that it exists, that it is present, and that it is with you, or that it is you. Therefore, in a manner of speaking, if it is easier to define than defining love, I would express that the genuine identity of yourself is your soul, that which is uniquely and genuinely you. You already know it because that already exists within you. Also, you already incorporate an aspect of knowing that, but it is not entirely clear yet, and this is the point. It is the objective recognition of that. Another of our greatest obstacles is also what we identify as our independence. This independence is almost still a separation instead of a connectedness. It's like everyone has this thing, this knowingness that makes us unique. No one is the same. Every single one is different. That is why I shall offer another aspect that maybe is somewhat easier for us to connect to. We also all incorporate this innate aspect of ourselves, whether we assess it intellectually to be fantasy or not. There is an innate aspect of each of us that recognizes a connection that we term to be soulmates. Now our identification and our definitions of soulmates move beyond the physical. In this there is some aspect of recognition that a soulmate is an interconnectedness, a bond that reaches beyond space and time. That it is not bound by manifestation. It is not bound by experience, and there are volumes of ideas and writing on this particular subject. For it is a subject that is one of those innate recognitions, those knowings that transcends beyond what we see. Beyond what we recognize in the separation of what we know as reality, or what we recognize as reality. A soulmate transcends that, and in that, a soulmate, if we are genuinely exploring that, is a part of us. Even in the most famous ancient text in relation to that subject, how is it described? A split part. This is the driving force to discover one's soulmate. For it is the missing part of ourselves. Now this is an analogy, it is the philosophy or the story of the idea of the soulmate. I have expressed many times we do incorporate much more than one soulmate. Perhaps the idea of the soulmate can be helpful. For that does transcend separation, and in that we do incorporate some aspect of knowing that defining a soulmate is the recognition that it is not separate. Even within our uniqueness, even within our unique identity, that which generates you being you, your soulmates are a part of. It is a part of you. It cannot be separated from you. It cannot be distinguished from you. Regardless of that, it incorporates its own uniquenesses. But it is a part of us. Therefore, the concept of the soul and the soulmate may be easier to transition into more recognition of our genuine identity. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and if you need more information, you can buy my books in Amazon.